Hey there. So this is going to be our second pivot table and pivot chart video, and we're going to answer the second question on this list. What is the difference in average price by category? So we want to make a chart and a table that look a little bit like what we made here with the first question. We want to have our restaurant quality, good restaurants, very good restaurants, or excellence as rated by guests. But here, instead of knowing how many of them there are in our data set, I want to get average price per meal in that category. And I want our chart to look like this: good, very good, and excellent. But I actually want it, instead of having vertical columns, I'd like to have a horizontal bar chart. So that's where we're headed, and let's do that together. So the first thing we need to do is I'm going to start by clicking in the cell where I want to put the data table. That just has me removed and disconnected from any of the other pivot table functionalities that are going on in this spreadsheet. And then up here under Insert, I'm going to choose Pivot Chart again. And I'm choosing Pivot Chart because I want both a table and a chart. So when I select Pivot Chart, I'll move this box out of the way, but it wants me to first choose the data that I want to analyze. And the data that I want to analyze is in this table over here. It's all of this data on 300 restaurants. So to highlight that, I highlight first the titles, then I do Command Shift down Enter. If you're on a PC, that'll be a Control Shift down Enter. And once that's all highlighted, I'm just going to come back up in my spreadsheet to where I want to stick the data. Then choose where you want the pivot chart to be placed. I want it right under my category. So F23, right there. Then I'm going to click OK. You might be able to hear my dryer in the background telling me that my clothes are dry. Welcome to working from home. Then again, it comes up with a chart, well, where the chart's going to go, and the table, where the table's going to go. So just like this chart here, I want my axis to be the quality ratings. So I'm going to drag that into the axis category. And then while I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to move that excellent down to the bottom so that rather than being in alphabetical order, they're in order getting better. Good, very good, excellent. And then here in the values, rather than the numbers, I want the average meal price. So I'm going to drag average meal price down here into the values. And it's giving me, look, count of meal price. So I'm getting the same numbers here. So that's not exactly the answer that I want. It's telling me how many entries there were for meal price. So I need to change this field. Rather than it being how many meal prices are there, I want it to be the average. So on a Mac, I have this little I here. If you're on a PC, you might click or right click and choose field settings. But on a Mac, the easiest way to get to it is this little I. And if you click on the I, theoretically, if you click on the I, a pivot table field table will come up. And here I want it to be summarized not by count, rather by average. If I wanted to know the highest price in that category, I'd choose maximum or minimum. So you have a lot of choices. You can even see the standard deviation. So you could have one column with average and the other column with standard deviation. There's a lot you can do. So I'm going to choose average meal price by category, and I'm going to click OK. And now here it is. It gives a lot of decimals. So if I format that as a $sign, it will tell me that good restaurants, on average, it costs $19.73 to eat there. Very good restaurants, it costs $25.63 to eat there. And an excellent restaurant would cost you $34.35. And it immediately, because I asked for a pivot chart, it gave me this chart. So I want to play with this chart a little bit because there's a lot of functionalities with pivot charts. It'll give you a chart, but you may want one that looks different. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do that. We're going to change this chart. So up here under Pivot Chart Analyze, I want to choose the Design tab. And under that Design tab, there's something that'll say Change Chart Type. And I want a column chart, but if I highlight over column, well, actually, for a second, you can highlight over all these different types. Don't get too excited. Some of them aren't functional with a pivot table, but A lot of them are. I want a horizontal bar chart. So I'm going to click this clustered bar chart down the bottom. Rather than being vertical columns, I'm going to have horizontal bars. And now it's looking better. What I'm going to do now is change a few things. I'm going to start by removing that legend. And then I'm going to title it Average Prices at Restaurants of Various Qualities. Restaurants of different quality. And then down here, I'm going to make a couple of changes. So I'll click outside of the box and add chart element. If you're on a PC, there's a little plus here. It's easier on a PC than it is on a Mac, but add chart element. For axis titles, I'm going to want to do both the horizontal and the vertical. You'll notice that when I said horizontal, it gave me vertical, and now that I'm going to say vertical, it's going to give me horizontal. That's what it seems to do when you have a horizontal bar chart. But here, I'm going to change this axis title to quality of restaurant. And down here, I'm going to change this axis title to average price. So just to do two more things. Down here on these numbers, see how it's giving me 2 decimal places and how it makes that axis look really crowded? I'm going to left click and then right click, and I'm going to choose Format Axis. And when these numbers come up, I'm going to look for the one that says number. So down here under number, it gives me a choice. How many decimal places do I want? And I actually want no decimal places. When I click enter, it changes those. Next, I want to change these colors so that they match these colors. So I'm going to click on the first data bar. I'm actually just going to double click, and my format data series again comes up. Let's adjust that width so that the bars are a little fatter. And then under here, under fill, again, it's vary colors by point. And there we go. Excellent, very good, and good. So now we can see the average prices at restaurants of different quality, and we can see that as we go up in quality from good to excellent, the food tends to be a little bit more expensive, just as we might expect. All right, that's it with this video. Happy calculating, and let me know if you have any questions.